High Performance Psychology. Welcome to week 8. We are 3 weeks away from the end of the school year. And of course, my first thought is I haven't gotten through enough with you guys, but we're going to get there. I promise we're going to get you ready and set for whatever next performance that you have, whenever that may be. Listening to a little bit of some 80s music. This morning I was watching some 80s video on MTV that they have on Sundays, so that's kind of cool. And listening to some Bonnie Tyler and the original Footloose soundtrack. So let's go ahead and get started for today. Quarantine week 8. We're going to jump right in here. And I have a little message for you guys. If anybody has good news, I know some of you guys are off getting great letters and things like that, being accepted to programs and things like that. Let me know. I'd love to hear. I feel like I'm missing out on so much of that. All right, quarantine week 8. So there are a couple of things that I want to talk to you about in regards to requests that I've had. The first is a request for teacher nominations. So NHS got a hold of us and they asked all the teachers to ask our students to nominate teachers for a couple of awards. So this page kind of explains what these awards are about, but the awards that they're looking at giving out are the Devil's Treasured Teacher Award and then the Devil's Stupendous Staff Award. So you can read about those, and then those links are right there for you to access if you want to make a nomination. All right, there's that. And then, of course, we have our weekly participation. Make sure you're doing these weekly participations by Friday night. And that way you get those participation points. We also have one last meme, one final meme to do. So everybody will be commenting on that one particular meme. And that, of course, is, if let's go back to our page because I realized it's not in here, is going to be Maddie C's meme. So make sure to respond to that in addition to doing your participation points by May 8th at 11:59 p.m. on that Friday night. All right. I do have some quotes of the week. I haven't finished grading your guys' participation memes, but by the time I post this, we will have some quotes of the week. So sorry about that. I record these lectures a little bit early so that I can get them posted early for you on Tuesday morning. All right. Let's go into Tuesday. We are going to start doing our lecture on leadership today. And so the only task that I have for you is a discussion task for you. Let's come back to that. Let's go ahead and start our lecture though. So hopefully you're taking notes on this. This is not necessarily something I'm going to test you on, but you will be doing a small little final, nothing like the reflection papers that we've done in the past, much smaller, but these notes may help you. In addition to the fact that you may want to use these notes later on when you are back in competition and performing. All right, so we're getting into performance leadership. Let's do this. So I'm going to talk about probably the two most important concepts today in regards to leadership and performance leadership. And that is, you guys have likely heard about this, the why. One of the biggest things that you always want to start your season with is knowing the why. Why are you practicing every day? Why are you here as a team every day working hard? And so the why is important. See, what we figured out in sports psychology is we were doing this backwards for many, many years. We were saying the what to start us off. We were working outside in. We were saying the what is to win a state championship. The how, we're going to practice hard every day and everybody's going to give us their all. The why, sometimes we wouldn't even get that far. Why were we doing this? And so what sports psychologists have figured out is that when we lead from inside out, we actually get more production by a team or a group of people. The why is what creates the buy-in. We can't start from the what, because the what just causes people to comply. The why causes people to buy into the system. So the why, we're each here because we love what we do. We're intrinsically motivated by what we do, and we work hard, so why not? I may say my why of teaching, I want to impact kids. You can probably ask every single teacher their why for teaching, and it's probably going to be very similar. But many teachers start with the what. What lesson? What am I supposed to do today? What's the worksheet? And they lose sight of the why, because the why isn't what they're building on. The why is what they're trying to get to. And you should be building on your why. So at the start of every season, you should be sitting down with your team and saying, why? Why are we here? Are we here to just wear the uniform? Are we here so that our parents can post our picture up on the gym wall? Why are we here? Then once we figure out the why and we find a common why, then we can start to figure out how. How are we going to do this? And what are we going to achieve by doing these things? And if we work from the inside out, great things can happen. Oftentimes, though, we work from the outside in, and we never get to the why. And that's the completely opposite way than we should ever be doing anything. And that's why, like for Wish Week, people will get up there and tell you their why and put the emotion into why this is such a powerful thing for them. I used to sit my teams down at the beginning of every season, and we'd go over all the what stuff at the beginning of the season, and then I'd say, all right, you've heard the what's of the season, but now you guys have to figure out the why. And this was at the very first meeting we'd ever had. The what's were the logistics, like come to practice on time, all of that stuff. Bring your uniform, bring your practice jersey, stuff like that. And then I'd sit down and I'd say, now I need you guys to tell me the why we're going to do all of those what's. That way I know where you want to head in 4 months when playoffs are coming around. And do you want to be there? What do you guys want from this season? The why. Why do you want that? And so they would sit. I wouldn't even attend this meeting. They would figure out their why so that I could figure out the how to get to the what. Does that make sense? So always, if you have the ability to put your 2 cents in, start with the why of every season. Why statements? Because we believe in whatever it may be, we will do this, the tactic, so that we can achieve whatever it is, the strategy. Okay? You have to have a vision. So this is a great graphic to help you to figure out how to lead your teams. It doesn't have to be a coach that does this. You can sit down with your team. And then I would highly suggest, after your team has done this, you talking with the coach of what your common why is. That way the coach knows. Because if the coach is assuming your why, then there's not that cohesiveness. And you may find that all throughout the season, you're not on the same page of how to do this to achieve the what. Okay. Now, the second most important thing that you have to keep in mind for any team, any group, is communication. It is the first thing that if you don't acknowledge that it needs to be done, it will break a team apart. Communication doesn't always occur naturally. Communication must be taught and practiced in order for everyone to come together as one. That's a quote by Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K from Duke. And it is his number one tenet to make sure everybody is on the same page. Because the minute we don't have people on the same page, we all are not trying to work to the same goal. Communication is key. I use a acronym that I kind of stole and I altered from Point Guard College, which is a basketball academy. And they call it TLC. I call it ELC. And it stands for the three tenets of communication. You should always communicate early. You should always communicate loudly. Okay, and I'll explain that in a second. And you should always communicate constantly. Okay? Early. It should never be a last minute communication. You guys have seen my philosophy. I do not tell you at the last minute we're having a quiz or a paper. I let you guys know early. So it's in your head. You are mentally ready for it. Nothing comes up and surprises you all of a sudden. Communicate early. Communicate practice times early. Communicate changes that may have to happen eventually. Even if they don't ever happen, at least communicate. This might be a possibility. Communicate early. Okay? Loud. Make sure everyone hears it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean loud vocally. It can be in all sorts of different mediums. It could be communicating that we have a game coming up on Instagram, on Facebook, on Snapchat, via email. I was always sure as a coach to make sure to email every week my girls and their parents what the agenda was for the week. Communicating early and loudly, all right? Making sure everybody knows. Because if one person doesn't know or is in the know, they may be feeling left out, or they may be feeling like they're not a significant part of the team. And likely, if they're on the team, they're significant. So communicating early and loud, and then communicating constant. It never hurts to be a broken record, a skipping CD, a constantly same thing being said over and over. I know that you have teachers that say the same thing over and over and over, and you're like, I know, we heard. So what? We know now you've heard, okay? Even when we were running drills in basketball practice, we would use ELC. We would communicate early. I would let them know what's in the agenda for the practice. They knew if they had a really tough run coming up. We would communicate loudly. We'd make sure everybody knew what was going on, and we'd communicate constantly. Even in our drills, if we were doing the last round of a drill, we would say last. And the minute that somebody said last, everybody had to echo it. That way everybody knows. If I'm kind of spacing out in the middle of the drill and I hear last, I realize, oh, last, yeah, that's my last shot. Okay? So it allows everybody to be on that same page. The why in communication, if you have those two things going into a season and you carry them throughout a season, you will find that your team will achieve, okay? Will they achieve the ultimate goals? I don't know. There's a lot more to that. But you're on the right path by having a why and communicating. So those are my two big things. I want to talk to you guys over the course of the next about 3-4 lectures about 12 simple yet significant daily to-dos for leaders, what you can do directly to help lead your team, okay? We're only going to go through one today. Number 1, be the hardest worker at practice today. Without fail, one of the quickest ways to impact a team is with your own work ethic. Choose to be one of the hardest workers on your team today. Not only does it set the tone for the work ethic of your program, it is also one of the best and quickest ways to enhance your leadership credibility with your teammates and your coach. You do not have to be the best player on the field, the floor, the stage in order to be the hardest worker. And if I have a team of hardest workers, I know, it doesn't matter if I don't have a single superstar, I know we are going to go as far as we possibly can, whatever that may mean. And of course, that a lot of that working hard has to do with your attitude. Pat Summitt, one of my other basketball heroes, said attitude is a choice, and we've learned that over the course of this semester. What you think you can do, whether positive or negative, confidence or scared, will most likely happen. That growth mindset, that all those strategies that we talked about, positive self-talk, instructive self-talk. If you believe you can be the hardest worker on the floor, or you can get everybody in your team to be the hardest workers, then you can achieve that. And the first way to start is to show yourself doing it, doing that in practices. All right. And remember, you're probably not going to have every single day that's going to be your best day or your hardest working day. But if you instill that in your team and you've got 6 other people that are able to do it, you're going to rise to that. Okay. Even if you're not having the greatest of days. A lot of people will call this cockiness. I've talked to you guys about this before. It's the fine line of being cocky and confident, not traveling to the cocky side, but having that confidence almost to the level of cockiness. I want you guys to watch a TED Talk by Adam Grant. It's only about 3 minutes long. I want you to watch that TED Talk, and I want you to reflect on what you've learned today in today's lecture. And tomorrow, not tomorrow, but on Thursday, we'll talk about our second tenet of great leadership. All right, guys. So what you're going to do is you'll go into Schoology, go to the discussion here, and it says the why. And it says in 2 to 3 sentences, discuss what was covered in today's lecture, the why of leadership. Leading doesn't mean being the best person on the field, the floor, or the stage at all time. It means having a common why, communicating that why, working hard for the why. I want you to respond to what you learned today, or maybe even respond to somebody else's response and have a discussion. But I want you to kind of reflect on what has been said. All right, guys. So I'm going to continue on and leave you guys with Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out There for a Hero. Hopefully you're able to be a hero in somebody's life by being a great leader. See you guys.